It's time for Radio Blab with Master Mel, the radio video podcast brought to you live. Join host Melodee Meyer and her special guests as they discuss personal mastery and what it takes to create a life you want in a body you love, doing work that matters. Here's your host, Master Mel.
Well, hello, my name is Melodee Meyer, also known as Master Mel. And on my website, mastermel.com, and here on Blab Radio, I like to support leaders and entrepreneurs in experiencing the life they want now. Not waiting down the line till you get it all together, but now. So one of the ways I do that is by talking with other leaders and experts who are masters at what they do. And we have one such master today. Okay, Dr. Christine Kaczmar is a functional medicine doctor who from their adversities, which are the digestive troubles that are ruining their relationships, careers, and joy. She literally helps people regain their freedom from the crappiest health conditions out there, like Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, constipation, diarrhea, etc. In addition, Dr. Christine is the CEO of Omega Digestion, a filler-free and whole plant-based enzyme nutrition company. It's fantastic. Dr. Christine says, I am not at all interested in throwing medications at symptoms. Rather, I recognize the importance of finding the source of stress and removing it without the use of drugs. This is my kind of gal. Give it up for Dr. Christine. Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you. How you doing?
Oh, so good. I am so glad to finally we have to speak together. And because you're one of my heroes, one of the things that I love to talk about more than anyone, and you can ask all my clients, is I get them in the door at my dojo for with the premise that they're going to, lose weight or get in shape or learn some self-defense. Okay, that's all like trickery to get them in the door so that I can talk about digestion and elimination, because that's what I really care about.
Really? I love that. Fantastic.
I even warn them. I say, okay, we're going to talk about this first, and then we're going to talk about my favorite subject, digestion and elimination. And they all go like that, add to their constipation, I'm sure. But it's so important. It's so foundational. And that's what I want to talk with you about today. I was reading really into personal freedom. And so am I. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you all got started in becoming the Digestion Doc?
Well, I apologize. I don't know if my signal is great or not, but you're a little bit choppy, so I think it might be on my end. So I hope it's flawless when it's watched back or whatever.
Well, I see you moving like a robot, but I hear you okay.
Okay, good. So your question was, why did I get into the digestion work, or were you asking me about freedom? Because I got cut off.
Both. We'll talk about both.
Okay.
So how did you get into being the Digestion Doc and specializing in that?
Yeah, so my first training, my first love is a doctor of chiropractic, and I had the pleasure of having one of my teachers, one of the doctors that taught us, is a natural hygienist. And so a natural hygienist is basically a health practitioner who is big into fasting. I mean, they do other things too, but fasting, I'm like, what? Fasting? You mean not eating? And that's exactly what he meant. So long story really short is I was in the best shape of my life. I was eating salads like for lunch every day in between class, and I would come back to class, doubled over at my desk in severe pain, sharp pain in my abdomen. And I'm like, what the heck is this? What is this? And so I made an appointment to go see him during break. He only accepts checks or cash, didn't accept credit cards. So you can imagine as a student going through doctor school, we're hard up for money like any other student. And so I scraped everything together. I went to see him. I fasted for 8 days with nothing but water and maybe a little bit of watered down broth, but it was never more than 50 calories. Uh-oh, I think you're frozen. I'm just going to keep going. I hope it works. And so, so anyways, it's so weird. This is frozen. Anyways, so 8 days later, I think I lost like 10 or 12 pounds, and all those pains went away. And so I was shocked at how great I felt. I filed it back in my little filing cabinet here. And once I entered into practice, I remembered this digestion stuff has something worth merit. And as it would happen 10 years ago, so I've been practicing for 16 years, 10 years ago, I decided to incorporate enzyme nutrition. And everybody's dropping off. Enzyme nutrition into my practice, and I never look back. So it was really about not so much looking at what foods people are allergic to, which is what I used to do, but rather looking at what nutrients, macronutrients, fats, carbs, and proteins people were not able to digest, and then handling those accordingly. So then I just decided, you know what? The freedom aspect of this is really a matter of what is my number one value? And my number one value as a person is freedom. I mean, I just love being free. I just love doing whatever I want, whenever I want. And it broke my heart to know that there are people, many people, who were afraid to leave their homes because they didn't know if they were going to have an accident, having an urgent bowel movement in their car. People who are carrying extra sets of clothing because these things happened on a regular basis, planning every single route where the bathrooms were, not getting on an airplane because they were afraid they were going to have an accident. So more and more of these people I was meeting in practice. And so it was easy for me to declare that to be what I was going to go after, to help people regain their freedom from the crappiest health conditions. And I've really never looked back. I mean, my very first patient had just no hope on his face. He had been the medical route. They weren't helping him. And he said, "Dr. Christine, you're my last hope." And I've heard that over and over and over and over again the last 10 years. And it's what really lights me up in practice. It's what excites me, is to see people come back to life, to see their eyes reawaken, to know that they could go on an airplane now, they could go, on a vacation, go to dinner with their husband or whatever, and not worry about having an embarrassing, humiliating accident. I mean, I can't think of anything worse than that. So that's the blend of why I did the digestive stuff and why freedom matters so much to me, and how I kind of marry them together. So I'm not sure what her next question would be, but I'm having a thought that it's going to be, what is my purpose? So my purpose is really attached to freedom. My purpose is really to serve people in a way where they're going to get the answers that they're looking for. I think that too many times, "Hey, Mel, how are you? We're talking about purpose."
Great.
Is that what you want me to talk about?
Yes, thank you.
So, purpose is just really a matter of being on fire about something, having passion about something that really blends itself into what mastery is too. But just knowing that whatever you're going to go after in your career, whatever it is, if you love it so hard, if you care so much, it all connects. And so, like I said, there are so many people given wrong information by their doctors. To this day, I had patients sit right next to me here. I'm in my consultation room right now. But I have patients sit right next to me who to this day say that their medical doctor says that their diet has nothing to do with their Crohn's, that their diet has nothing to do with their colitis. And it's aggravating. I get irritated. I have a short fuse for that kind of nonsense. And so purpose for me is putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, giving people a really easy to follow method with which they can come back around and get back to health, because it's really not hard when you know what to look for. And unfortunately, medical testing, it's not about finding out what the source of the stress is. It's about finding, which latest drug can we give that has all these side effects, and it's just wrong. And so that's what my purpose is. My purpose is to educate. Doctor really means teacher. My purpose is to help patients see that there's hope, that their body is smart. The best doctor is the one that resides within them, and the rest is pretty much easy after that.
So do you get a lot of resistance from your patients, or have you educated them to the point where they just go, "Yes, ma'am," and just do what you say?
It depends. I have the whole gamut. I mean, I have patients who have been with me for 10 years who are afraid to tell me that they went on an antibiotic. I have patients who are taking infusions of Remicade, which is a very nasty leukemia-causing drug that's given for Crohn's and colitis quite a bit. I have those patients who come in and they'll meet with me for like 1 week and they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that drug anymore." These are their choices. I'm not a medical doctor. Therefore, it's against the rules to tell people the truth about what I feel about that kind of thing. But I have a conversation where they know, listen, if I'm talking to you like you're my sister, that's going to be a different conversation. So I meet people with where they are at. I love them no matter what. But one thing that I will never do is take away hope, because I've seen amazing stories of turnarounds. So whether a patient listens to me or listens to their medical doctor, that's not so much the point. It's that they come to a place where they feel comfortable, that they come to a place where they know that they could heal, that they come to a place where they're going to be respected and listened to, because it's just really not happening out there with mainstream medicine anymore.
So when people find you, are they finding you because of your work in digestion, or are you still out there as a chiropractor and they come to you for that and then it goes into digestion?
Yeah, I will always adjust people to the day I die, but that's not what I advertise for. My main thing that I'm known for, I'm one of the most specialized doctors in the country in the work of enzyme nutrition. So that's my primary focus. And eventually I'll be moving away from private practice into full on my supplement company and doing speaking and public speaking and things like that, because I have a passion to speak about what I feel about certain things. I mean, just today I had this guy, I'll call him a guy, which is being respectful, who was getting all over my Twitter account because I posted something about how vaccines hurt and how the latest research is showing now and supporting that vaccines, the schedule of vaccines is very traumatic and very damaging to our children. And this guy is actually saying, that's not true. I should think about not being a doctor if I think that kind of thing. So there's a lot of ignorance out there, and I have no issue taking people on and debating with them on that. So to answer your question, chiropractic, yes, I still adjust. I would say 90% of my practice is digest only, but it won't always be that way, because I'm going to be taking my story into bigger audiences is my goal.
Good for you. I'm so glad to hear that.
Thank you.
You are great in front of people, and you're a lot of fun. You bring a lightness to it. You know, like you, I get upset when I hear these guys talking to the point where I want to but you like seem to have a better sense of humor about it. I don't know. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I tell you, the reason for that, Mel, is when I was first starting out and I had to drum out business 16 years ago, I was literally, this is a true story, I was standing in front of a Walmart outside of New Hampshire trying to get new patients. So talk about rejection. You know, I mean, you're seeing like a wide range of socioeconomic peeps walking by you there. But you get thick skin. You get thick skin in this business when people don't consider you a real doctor. You get thick skin in this business when people want to challenge you about using food as medicine, when people want to think that prescription drugs is medicine, which it will never be. It can never heal you. So just developing that thick skin over the course of time has maybe made it easier, but I wasn't always so lighthearted, I guess you could say. I used to get really irritated. I used to engage these people, and I'm not so much interested in wasting my time with people that don't want to listen.
They're just trying to be right. They're not trying to find out anything new.
True. Yeah.
You know, it's what we call around here having a white belt mind, or having a mind that's actually open and where you ask questions. But a lot of these people don't want to ask questions. They just want to talk and be right about it. So that's fine. And for people that I have that go, what? But my doctor, you have to make your own decisions. And I'm very similar with you in that I had my own experiences, which caused me to do my own research and then find out my own things. It's like, oh my gosh, we're kind of getting a little bamboozled here with regular medicine. And why? If you follow the money, you can understand exactly why it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the money. People don't realize that big pharma has more capital than big oil. Big pharma has more money than big oil, and they spend billions of dollars on marketing to you. I mean, I can say, what's the purple pill? You'll know it's Nexium or Prilosec. I can say, what's the pink stuff? You'll know it's Pepto-Bismol. I can say, what's the triangular pill for men? You'll know it's Viagra. I could go on and on and on. How do you spell relief? This is because they spend so much marketing money, way more. I think the ratio is like 4 to 1 or something over the efficacy and safety of these drugs. So that's why it's hard to compete with that, because it's such a very wealthy industry. But the tide is slowly turning. More and more people are waking up. We have, I think, less and less sheeple walking around wanting to just blindly listen to anything that their doctor says. You know, the phrase, your doctor is right, you know, the doctor knows best. So wrong. Couldn't be further from the truth.
No, that is for sure. And what I'm really enjoying is I'm actually meeting doctors that will say that themselves. You know, like,
I love that. Yeah.
No, really, that I think that there's a little bit of a movement. happening in that direction. It's like, that's why there's so much specialization, and then they get everything except for my little piece of it, which is actually the opposite of functional medicine, right?
I barely heard anything you said. It was all like jammed in there together. But what did you say is the opposite of functional medicine?
Specialization without of what else is going on in the body. So all these doctors that are specialized,
right,
they will say, oh, I only know about my little area, but that's kind of the opposite of functional medicine, correct?
Exactly. I mean, they're looking at a little piece and a part to specialize in versus the whole body as an entity, as an entire whole. But it absolutely is all systemic. I mean, our health impacts everything. You know, I mean, something going on with your thyroid is affecting your blood supply someplace else. It's all connected. It's all a universal machine. It's a beautiful system the human body is. And to separate it out and specialize like that, we do run into trouble that way. So yeah, absolutely agree with you on that.
People would think then that specializing in digestion is also specializing without thinking about how it interacts with other things, other systems in the body. But I really believe that, and that's why this is named, this show is named this, is that digestion actually ends up being very foundational to all the other systems working well together. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. Not only do I agree with that, but also the emotional freedom. I mean, understanding that your mind and your body, that connection runs through the central nervous system. So I love that I have the chiropractic piece to help people with their neurology there. But then you've got the gut health, which has its own brain called the enteric nervous system. So, you know, Dr. Beaumont, William Beaumont, we have hospitals named after him here in Michigan. His whole entire claim to fame back in the 1800s was he's the first doctor on record to link your emotions affect your gut. And so he followed around this hunter who blew a hole in his gut, a French Canadian named Alexis St. Martin. And he found that when this man would cry, his stomach would secrete more juice. When this man would become red in the face, his stomach would turn more red, and so on and so forth. So your mind, your body, all connected through the gut. It's all, you know, very much the physical and emotional foundation with what's going on with our brain and our body and our digestion.
So one of the biggest surprises I've had with working with groups of people and talking about digestion and elimination is that people don't even know what's normal anymore. Like their digestion and elimination process is so messed. Actually know how often they should be going, what it should look like they don't even know like the basics. And so I always, you know, I try to get at least that out in the discussion and get them starting to think about it a little bit, but they don't actually even know. And so what I was hoping we could do in this time together is that you could give us some basic digestion tips so that I don't have to talk about it anymore. I could just have them listen to this.
I'd be happy to help you out there and shortcut this. And just put me on loop.
Right?
Kick. Yeah. So, you know, what you said is so true. It's so interesting that because people have things that commonly happen to them, because it commonly happens to them, they think it's the normal, but that's not the case at all. So as far as bowel movements, let's take that one off the top. You should be going 1 to 4 times per day.
Wah, wah, wah.
What's that?
I said, or off the bottom. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. I like that. 1 to 4 times a day. Your bowel movement should be firm. It should be chocolate brown. It should not break apart when it flushes. It should be like a torpedo or a log that sinks. It should not float. If you have stools that are floating, that generally means that you're not digesting fats properly. You should have pretty much a signal that you have to go to the bathroom. You go down, you go to the bathroom, you do your business in a couple of minutes. You wipe. Yes, I said wipe. Clean sweep. No residue on the toilet paper. That should be a typical thing. That's what I call the clean sweep. And off you go about your day, happy as a clam, right? That's what a typical perfect bowel movement should look like. Now, most people listening probably aren't having those very often at all. But that's generally what a bowel movement should look like. It should be a log. It should sink. It should be chocolate colored. It should be easy to get out. It should be well formed. It should be smooth and smell. It should be slightly sweet smelling. Sweet. It shouldn't be super foul smelling. Right. Slightly like sweet smelling.
Fresh mowed grass.
I wouldn't necessarily say habit, but when you have this bowel movement, you will remember me saying this on Mel's blab, and you'll be like, that's what that lady was talking about. This smells kind of sweet. So that's what a bowel movement should really go like. I mean, your elimination is everything. I like to say digestion is really two things. One, it's how well you convert the food that you're eating into nutrition, because you are what you eat is false. That's not true at all. I see tons of patients in the correct weight range that are eating well, but they're not healthy. So just because you eat spinach and kale does not mean your body is going to receive it. So digestion is one, how well you extract the nutrition from the food you're eating, and two, how well you're eliminating waste. That's what really digestion is. If you're not properly eliminating waste, if it's coming out too watery, if it's coming out hardly ever, like every couple of days, these are problems. And your whole entire gut is going to act accordingly. You're going to be more tired. You're going to be more sluggish. You're going to be irritable. You're going to be forgetful. I mean, there's so many things that are related to your gut. When we could just talk for like a zillion hours on it, just that alone. So elimination is huge. And let me just say too, look at your urine as well. Your urine should be pretty clear throughout the day. When you first get up, it should be darker. That's normal because your body is going through a situation where you're not getting enough oxygen during sleep. You're not breathing right. And your body's removing debris and waste throughout the night. So you should see a darker urine in the morning. You should not see very dark yellow urine that's foamy. These are usually protein deficiencies, not digesting protein properly. You should see pretty, clear colored urine throughout the whole day. And you should be drinking 96 ounces of water every day. So that's 3 quarts, 3 of these. And this is huge. I mean, just being dehydrated by 2% can significantly impact your brain, your chemistry, all of it. Just being 2% dehydrated. And so we're in the summer months right now here in the United States, hot all across the country, need to be drinking even more than 3 quarts. So elimination is not just stool, but also urine too. People forget about urine.
Yeah, I have people that have actually said, whoa, I thought if I went once a week, I was doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, no. You are not going every day. You need professional help. So we got to get you some. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience with learning about elimination. I used to work with, when I was a kid, when I was young, I used to work with disabled kids, and they couldn't speak. And so I was taught, I had to actually chart their bowel movements. And that's how they knew if someone was getting sick or if they were getting better. And I was so fascinated because, and I was like in my early 20s, and of course, nobody in my family wanted to talk about poop or anything like that. So it wasn't anything that we learned about, like that I learned about growing up. But I was in this workplace where it was like a big part of keeping people healthy. And that really started me on that journey of like learning more about it and then telling more people about it, because culturally it's not something that people talk about very much.
Yeah, that's very telling, isn't it? It's kind of like their signature, of what's happening with their health. And we should be like clockwork. I mean, you should literally wake up within half an hour of waking up, of rising, you should have a bowel movement. That's a healthy response. It's not healthy to have a meal and then 30 minutes later go running to the bathroom, or 5 minutes later. That is not normal. That should not be happening. Conversely, it's not normal to be drinking green juice, cucumber, celery, cilantro, and then having a loose stool. That's not normal either. But these are common things that I see in practice every day. And they're all signs that point to the same thing, which is they are not properly receiving nutrition from the food they're eating, and they're not properly eliminating waste.
Yeah. Okay, so when you have somebody comes in and you ask them those questions like about their elimination, and they describe one of those scenarios to you, and oh my gosh, this person is not digesting properly, they're not absorbing their nutrition, they're having these issues. What's the first thing that you tell them to do?
Well, I mean, it depends on how severe their symptomatology is. I mean, if these are people that are having bloody mucousy stools, I'm going to recommend that we test them. If you're giving me a scenario of somebody that I'm not going to necessarily test, I would tell them to avoid the 5 belly busters. You've probably heard me say this many times on some of my periscopes. But the 5 belly busters, anybody watching it would behoove them to remove, which are pork, peanuts, corn, soy, and wheat. That'd be the first thing I would tell them, to remove those 5 foods from their diet. Pork, because it's hard to digest. Peanuts, because they contain a mold called aflatoxin that grows on the outside of the shell in the very humid climate of Georgia, South Carolina. Valencia peanuts grown in California are better options because it's a dry climate there. It's arid. So pork, peanuts, corn, and soy, because they're genetically modified. Glyphosate, I just did a Facebook video before I came on air here. Glyphosate is known to disrupt phenylalanine, an important amino acid, which then will disrupt tyrosine, which affects your thyroid and affects your skin because it affects melanin. So, there's so many reasons to avoid GMOs, but corn and soy, I have them remove. And then 5 is wheat, because, whether it's GMO or glyphosate or pesticide ridden or hybridized, whatever you want to call it, it's also been altered by our government. It's not the amber waves of grain anymore. It's now grown quickly to produce extra, yield and money and profit. Yet it disrupts our small intestine. It's been known to really do damage to our small intestine. So we should be avoiding those 5 foods. That's the very simplest thing to do. I shouldn't say it's simple, because it's not. These are everywhere, these foods. Yeah. But it's a simple way to watch the body come back to life when you remove those 5 things. And then the second thing I would say is to take a digestive enzyme. I mean, it's as basic. We're eating foods that are cooked, baked, pasteurized, refined. They're devoid of enzymes. Enzymes are killed in foods once the food is cooked over 118 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not very hot. Boiling is 212. We shower in 120 degrees, so it's 118 is not very hot. So it's really easy to supplement digestive enzyme to take all the stress off of the pancreas, the liver, the small intestine, give your immune system a rest. And it's not a matter of, a common thing I hear people say is, oh, if I take digestive enzymes, does that make my pancreas work less? No, no. The digestive enzymes, the pancreas has no play inside the stomach. Okay, there are no pancreatic enzymes that get into the stomach. Taking plant-based digestive enzymes is the same thing as eating a parsnip that's raw. The enzymes in those foods are what you're putting back in a capsule form. So they're very essential to do. Whether you have a symptom or not, that's what I would say second to do, is take a digestive enzyme.
So I love your digestive enzymes, by the way.
Thank you.
The omega.
Thank you.
They're really great. I use them myself. And how do you know how much you should be taking?
So standard dosing is 2 capsules at the start of all your meals. If you're having discomfort, bloating, gas, abdominal pain, you could just take 6 caps right on the spot. I mean, these are foods. This is how I dose my product. Omega Digestion is what Mel is talking about. And in my product, I have all the enzymes you need to digest fiber, the cellulose that you find in plants. Plants have a cell wall, not a cell wall, is thicker. So that fibrous wall needs to be properly digested with the cellulase, which is found in Smart Carb, my products. Most enzymes you'll find at the health food store don't have cellulase in there. Most don't have lactase in there to digest milk. But also I have turmeric, black pepper, and cinnamon, which are very supportive of the pancreas, very supportive of the liver, anti-inflammatory, great for your skin. So that combination does a lot of wonder for the human digestive system. And it's food. I mean, food is really the true medicine here.
So what do you think of digesting dairy? What is your take on dairy?
So it's interesting that you bring that up. I think that some people are maybe luckier than others when it comes to dairy. I know tons of patients that come through, excuse me, they can't handle dairy. They get bloated very easily, that kind of thing. That never happens to me. But one thing I will say is if you're going to consume dairy, a couple of things, I'd highly recommend that it's 2% milk fat, or even better, full milk fat, which would be 4% milk fat, and then organic. And above all those, though, I would say get raw milk. In Michigan, it's illegal to buy raw milk, so therefore you have to buy part of the cow or be part of the lease of the cow, which I've just started doing. So this is into my 2nd week. Tomorrow will be my 2nd time meeting a guy at the back of a church with his cool little truck, where I've already prepaid for the whole year. So every week I get 1 gallon of his milk from his cows, which are very amazing A2 cows, which are the easier cows to digest the protein, called casein. A1 cows is what the commercial dairy industry uses. These cows produce casein, which is harder to digest. That milk protein, casein, is harder to digest. So anyways, raw milk is essential because it's still alive. It still has the enzymes. It has a good source of fat and protein. So if you're going to have dairy, that's what I would say, get raw. Otherwise, full fat and organic. But still, it's not something that you should have a ton of if you have symptoms at all. You should be careful. But if you don't have symptoms, go crazy.
What about cheese?
Yeah, so cheese, obviously cheese I like to be raw too. The harder the cheese, the better it is usually. Also stop buying any cheese that is orange. Cows don't produce milk that is orange. That's just humans being silly to try to make things look more cosmetically pleasing.
What?
So that's one little thing you could do. No more orange cheese, just white.
How about if it's in the plastic wrapper, individual slices?
Yeah, that's about the worst you can get. I mean, you should really not be buying sliced cheese that way, or shred it.
Like
buy the brick and shred it yourself, because they put anti-caking agents and things like that into the shredded cheese. They add other things to it. Just get the dang brick and get a grater and shave it off yourself. Takes a second.
You know, somebody was saying, yeah, you got to make sure your grated cheese is gluten-free. And I'm like,
No.
that's such a bummer. You know, they start adding things to something that's so basic. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, it's funny. The whole gluten-free marketing thing is out of control. I mean, now you'll find French's mustard, they'll say gluten-free. I mean, don't get caught up in the false marketing of gluten-free. Just because something says gluten-free does not make it healthy. Nor does it mean that you could carte blanche just eat as much of it as you want, because gluten-free things tend to mean still high carbohydrate when it comes to like a bread alternative anyways. So I just think it's funny that more and more and more companies are putting gluten-free and jumping on that bandwagon because they want to falsely make people think it's healthy. Just like Subway, people to this day think that Subway is a healthy option for fast food because that's how they marketed it. To this day, people think Subway is low fat. It's a better option.
Yeah,
it's silliness.
Brilliant. That was brilliant marketing.
It was.
Yeah. So tell me what your take is on sugar with digestion.
So obviously sugar is a big problem. I mean, there's a lot of people who have candida yeast issues. There are a lot of people who have fatigue issues, adrenal fatigue issues, and you could trace a lot of this back to sugar. But what I will say is that I am not a fan of a lot of these fake sugars at all. Sucralose, which is Splenda, aspartame, which is NutraSweet. I'm not even a fan of stevia. I think if people just relax and just have less of it, everybody can get along, right? So alternatives would be something like real maple syrup versus like the fake stuff from high fructose corn syrup. Organic cane sugar, have a little bit of that. It's not going to kill you. Just be smart, right? Like I have this bag. I'll reach over. I have this bag of organic cane sugar. I can't tell you how old this is, but this lasts me a long time. It's organic. And if I have some tea and I put a little bit of sugar in there, I mean, this is literally over a year old, right? So raw honey is also a good source. I just think people need to calm down. We're trying to find like the next trick to try to fake out the pancreas. You know, I mean, just stop drinking soda, stop drinking juice, make your own kombucha. I have my kombucha in the background there. But sugar, it doesn't have to be the enemy, I guess is what I'm really trying to summarize here, Mel. I think that sugar is important. We need sugar. It's our biggest fuel source, but eat smart sugar. So dates or coconut sugar or, organic cane sugar, raw honey. These are the types of things that people could substitute.
Yeah. So it's all about that processing. When we process things to death, it doesn't matter actually what it is. Even if it started off as a good thing, we just process the heck out of it until it's a different thing. It's not even the same thing.
Exactly. Completely agree. And if you guys aren't watching Mel's Snapchats, she's always cooking up good stuff, or at people's homes who are cooking up good stuff. I mean, you made that amazing cheesecake that was it wasn't even real cheese, I don't think.
No.
Cashew cheese or whatever. What was it?
Yeah, it was made from cashew and young coconut meat.
Yeah, it was so good. So watch her Snapchat. I love her Snapchat. She's always doing fun things.
Well, I love to eat. And so I had to be creative because I also had a lot of digestion problems. I was one of those people who thought that if you had to lay down after you ate, that was normal. It was when it started, getting to be a problem. If I went to eat, I'd find myself down on the floor of a public bathroom, but I would literally have to make myself horizontal just to stop the pain that I was experiencing. Wow. And but I went to many doctors. They had no idea what the problem was. They did many, many tests. Some of them tried to tell me that they knew what the problem was, and it was like, oh, you might need part of your colon removed. And yeah,
Wow.
it was.
I didn't know that you dealt with that. I mean, I hear that stuff all the time, but I didn't know you, Mel, were dealing with that.
Well, it was a long time ago, and that sort of is what set me on my journey for health and sort of taking control of things in myself. Now, what do you think about when doctors say we have to have a colonoscopy? What do you think about that?
What do I think when a doctor asks to have a colonoscopy? Is that what you said?
The whole practice of colonoscopies. What do you think about that?
Okay, so here's what I think about that. I think that there are some places in time where these types of scopes mean something. I think that they're overdone, colonoscopies personally. I think that there's a lot of fear that they put into people. If they found a polyp a year ago, there's really not a reason to do a colonoscopy the next year, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, but I have worked with thousands of patients who have been the whole route with this whole kind of thing. So I usually think that they're overdone. It's not my place to say in practice. It's not within my scope to say get one or not to get one. But I give my patients the other side of the coin if they're willing to listen.
Okay, so I guess my question comes down to, like, because I've actually had people tell me this. They say, if they're having digestive issues, and just by their symptoms, I can tell that that's the problem, They, and then they say, yes, but I had a colonoscopy and everything came back normal. I'm totally fine. And it's like, I'm not sure that a colonoscopy is the test to be doing to check to see if your digestion is working.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great distinction. I mean, so what I say to my patients when they tell me that, oh, I had a colonoscopy and it came back great, I say, awesome, then you're not diseased. That's wonderful. But here's where the medical profession lacks. They don't know how to help you come back from stress. That's what I help my patients with, as I find out where they are stressed and give them the nutritional support that their body is asking for, and the body naturally, I get out of the way, the body does what it needs to do. But colonoscopies, they're not a measurement of how true your digestive tract is really running. Look more closely to the liver is what I would say. The liver is the quarterback of the gut. I say that often because it is. The liver does amazing amounts of work. And I think it's estimated that our liver can actually work at 5% function and we could still be alive. It's ridiculous how important that organ is. But whether you have diarrhea or constipation, look well to the liver for that. If you have psoriasis or eczema or any kind of skin issue, acne issue, look well to the liver for that. And so where's the test that's really showing how well the liver is being evaluated? They're not doing it. Again, the medical profession is just, they're behind the times. I don't test stool or blood in my practice. I test a specific urine collection, which is very different than what's being done by gastroenterologists, because this test tells me so much more information than what you can get, than what can be derived from blood or from stool. So I agree with you, Mel. I think colonoscopies, if they come back clear, it means nothing about what's happening above that. Constipation and diarrhea is not a colon problem, primarily. It's a digestive problem that happens well above that. It's just that by the time this food lands there, it's been full of a leaky gut, this person. It's been full of inflammation. It's been full of all kinds of antibodies trying to attack these things to try to protect you. And by the time it ends in the colon, there's ulcerations there because you have these very toxic chemicals that don't belong. Like, for example, women who have had their gallbladder taken out. Cholecystectomies are so overdone, mostly in women. And if you don't have your gallbladder, now you've got this bile just dripping out of the liver with no place to go. And this is very caustic. And so women who have had anybody who's had their gallbladder removed have an increase of getting some kind of a digestive cancer within 20 years of that procedure. So it's very, very startling to hear that so many women have had these procedures done. I mean, I've had very few guys had their gallbladders out, but so many women have. Nobody wants to have cancer ever. But people don't realize that if they do such a thing, they could create more stress than remove it. And so, again, it's just this vicious circle with the medical profession telling you that you have a colonoscopy, it's clear, great, but not really looking to the true source of stress, which most times comes way higher, like the liver, for example, or the pancreas, for example, or not digesting fats, carbs, or proteins.
talk a little bit about how to support the liver. And if I could say one thing about the whole gallbladder thing that drives me so crazy, and even my mother, she said, yes, my doctor said I have to get my gallbladder removed. And I'm all like, why? She says, oh, he just says it's important. I don't even understand why it does, but apparently I don't need it. The doctor says I don't really need it. I go, well, Mom, and she's very religious. I was like, Mom, like God probably gave you a gallbladder, I don't know, for a reason. It's probably there for a reason. You just don't know what the reason is. And perhaps your doctor doesn't either.
Right.
Incredible. But anyway, so.
Yeah, no spare parts. That's what I say. Hashtag no spare parts. You did not come with spare parts. Even your appendix has an essential purpose, which is to help further digest. Your appendix secretes an enzyme that helps to further digest seeds. But having your gallbladder removed is very troublesome. But here's the beauty of the body: is your body will make its own pseudo pouch. Your gallbladder is basically the pouch that the liver drips all the bile into. Lop that thing off. Guess what? The body's going to make its own little tissue sac to try to replace that, which is so amazing. Nowhere near going to be the same, but at least it's a body trying to fix it. But the liver is the quarterback of the gut. The liver is the massive detoxer of the body. It has everything to do with metabolizing your fats, your carbs, your proteins. It has everything to do with metabolizing poisons that you're coming into contact with, from the things you're breathing to chemicals that you're putting in your mouth, prescription drugs. Your body has to detoxify all of this stuff. And what's crazy radical is, in so doing, as your body's detoxing things that you're coming into contact with and food that you're eating, it gives off more free radicals like hydrogen peroxide. Wow. So in the effort to detoxify you, it's making you more toxic first before it could take care of it, if you're healthy. But there are many people who are making this hydrogen peroxide metabolic effect of digesting food and transitioning from poisons and things like that we eat, and you can't properly get rid of that hydrogen peroxide. Massive ager to have that in your system. But I could go on about the liver all day. I love it. It's huge. I mean, it does so much work. It gets no respect. Support the liver. It's a Rodney Dangerfield organ. No one respects it. It gets no respect, but it does massive amounts of work.
Okay, so we want to respect the liver. How do we do that?
So some things that you could do to respect the liver are to eat some foods that are naturally nourishing to the liver, like milk thistle, dandelion, lemons, turmeric. There are so many foods. All I got to do is just Google liver-loving foods. You'll find a slew of them. Beets would be another one. But really, you want to make sure that you're chewing your food well. You want to make sure that even if you're juicing these foods, chew your liquids. Your stomach does not have teeth. In your saliva, you have enzymes to help initiate digestion, so start there. But pick up some beets. Look to get some dandelion greens. Buy a complex capsule that has all of these goodies inside of it. Just make sure that it does not have magnesium stearate. Magnesium stearate is a common filler that most all supplement companies use, but it's going to rob your body from really receiving the benefit of what you think you're buying. So it's a soapy excipient chemical. It's, like I said, in most all products. But if you, for example, let's say that you're buying vitamin C, you think you're getting 100% vitamin C with the proper dose that the label says. But if there's magnesium stearate in there, maybe now you're only getting 65% vitamin C, meaning you can't possibly assimilate all of it when you have the presence of magnesium stearate. Companies use this because it makes the powder behave as they're trying to encapsulate it. So it prevents the powder from flying all over the factory. Sadly, you don't get the benefit of that product anymore when you add that binding filling chemical called magnesium stearate. So if you're not going to juice, if you're not going to eat these healthy foods, and you're going to take a capsule of a liver support, make sure that it's free of magnesium stearate.
Yeah. So we're feeding the liver. So do you like the lemon drink in the morning? Are you a fan?
I'm definitely a fan. I think drink your lemon water, get organic lemons, put it into some warm water, a little pinch of cayenne pepper, just a little pinch of cayenne pepper, very nourishing to the liver in the morning, very invigorating for the entire gut. Yes, I'm a fan.
Are you familiar with the Bragg's family?
I am, yeah, the amino, Bragg's aminos, and he's big into fasting as well. I am familiar, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I think it was a chiropractor, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he was.
I have that book. Yep.
Patty, his daughter, is still around. He actually lives here in Santa Barbara, at least part-time. I run into her.
Right.
She is a kick. I don't know how old she is now, but she is, she makes stuff happen, I'll tell you. So she's really into, the apple cider vinegar also as a support.
Yeah, I'm also a fan of apple cider vinegar. I did a podcast on it. I think it's episode 16 of Smart Digestion Radio. But no, apple cider vinegar it's been used for centuries. It's essential to bring the body back around, to wake up the digestive system, to help with heartburn. There are many different benefits of apple cider vinegar.
Cool. So another thing I wanted to talk to you about today that I get questions about all the time is probiotics.
Yeah.
And prebiotics. Maybe you could talk about the difference between them and how you feel about them.
Okay, so prebiotics are going to be foods that you could eat. A common one that you'll see in products is inulin. These are foods that are going to kind of set the stage or set the tone for good digestion. Not a lot to really say about that. I mean, you get that from eating plants, essentially. Probiotics are the bacteria, like Lactobacillus acidophilus is the primary one. Understanding that we are 1 human cell to 10 bacterial cells in our body. So we are literally mostly bacterial beings. And what happens is that these bacteria, they create something called our microbiome or our gut flora. Think of a healthy digestive system like a shag carpet. You want that shag carpet nice and thick, full of all those bacteria, doing all the things that they're supposed to be doing, from further digesting foods to making us help to reabsorb water. I mean, did you realize that these bacteria help to reabsorb water? Everything in the human body is recycling. It's a constant recycling machine, the human body, constantly reusing for efficiency. So bacteria help to do that. But what happens is when we have antibiotics, when we're under stress, when we're eating too much sugar, this gut flora starts to become thinner. So it's more like a commercial grade rug, not that shag carpet. And so the popularity of probiotics has come about. Probiotic means pro-life. And so the problem, though, is that people are taking these probiotics out of sequence, meaning they're either taking them when there's a lot of debris in their colon that needs to be removed. It's causing more gas and bloat. There are plenty of patients, I can tell you, who take probiotics and they feel worse. That's because they have a lot of debris that has not been properly removed. By taking these probiotics, they're kicking all that stuff up like dust, and it's making them feel worse. And then the other sequence issue is people are taking probiotics with food. Asinine, okay? I mean, that's just what the bottle says, so people are just listening. You should be taking a probiotic away from food with no calories to give that probiotic a chance to get to where it needs to go. Most probiotics should be powder form to have the most efficacy. Some can be encapsulated, but while you're digesting that capsule, while your stomach acid is digesting that capsule, which usually is a protein source, it's going to degrade and kill some of the probiotic. So you'll still get benefit from capsule form, but a purist will take their probiotic in powder form, mixing it with water. Either way, you're going to get benefit, but you want to take your probiotic on an empty stomach, not with food. And if you take a probiotic and you notice that you feel worse or more bloated, you need to slow down on the dosing and or check with a specialist, like somebody like me, perhaps, who could find out why you're feeling worse taking a probiotic. And the usual answer is that you're not ready yet. The canvas has not been properly set. We want to get rid of that debris so it's nice and clear before we repopulate with the good bacteria.
So is that what you use fasting for?
So why I fast is because it's really a physiological rest. I think fasting is so essential for everybody. I fast every year. Usually it's for about 7 to 8 days. I stop fasting when I'm starting to dump protein in my urine, not ketones, but when I'm dumping protein. But you know, like the book you held up, I have that book. I also love Herbert Shelton. He's one of my mentors that I really respect. So yeah, fasting can do so many things. It's not something that I recommend my patients do because they have to be really supervised. And I don't want that kind of liability of somebody passing out because they didn't listen to me. Yes. You know, but fasting is essential to calm down the body, to give all the organs, your eyeballs, everything a chance to recover, because eating food takes so much energy that when you stop eating food, it's amazing how much energy now is available to heal different areas of the body. And it's really a vitalistic approach and a really vitalistic practice that should be done.
So we're actually getting a lot of questions here about fasting and what are the effects of fasting. You do it as a regular, something you do once a year, which is great. How would somebody know it's something that they should consider or that they would be a good candidate for?
Virtually everybody is a candidate to fast. Even if you're pregnant. Now, I'm not saying that those that are pregnant should go and do that. This would be somebody who really is having more of a health crisis if they're pregnant. This could also be beneficial even while pregnant. But my point is, it is a very broad range of people that could benefit from fasting. People who are hypoglycemic, got to be careful there too. So there are some different nuances of where you'd want to have caution. But particularly if somebody is really struggling with bloating, constipation, diarrhea, watch what happens when you first remove those 5 belly busters. If you already start to feel better, which you usually will after the first week or two, and you want to go further, check out Bragg's book on fasting. Check out Herbert Shelton. These are things that have been done for thousands of years. Back in the day, it's said that Hippocrates and these other cats back then, they wouldn't even teach their pupils, their students, they wouldn't even teach them until they fasted for 40 days. Because the amount of material they were going to impart on them and teach them required them to be so focused that they didn't even want to even approach that until they fasted for a specific period. So that's pretty extreme, right? But I mean, in the Bible, we hear about fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. So there's something about the number 40. You don't even have to even do it anywhere near that long to have benefit. I like to say that if you fast for 4 days or longer, that's when you will have long-term benefit. But again, you want to be supervised. You want to be careful. You don't want to pass out. If you get up too fast, you're going to feel like you're going to faint. But it's something that's easily done, not to be feared. It's not starving yourself. That's why you want to test your urine. Once you're dumping protein, that's usually a good time to stop, because then you're starting to get into your muscle tissue, that your body's using muscle for energy. But even Dr. Perlmutter's book, Grain Brain, he talks extensively about the benefits of fasting and how your energy is so much more concentrated and focused while you're fasting. I mean, my patients never even know when I'm fasting unless I tell them, because I'm out and about doing my own thing. You wouldn't even know it. It's a very...
When I fast, I'm still teaching kickboxing. I have my regular routine and nobody would know. And I don't tell people because I have a lot of people who want to lose weight. That's what I work with a lot of people who want to lose weight. And so they see it as a strategy for weight control, and it is not for that.
It's a nice benefit, but you're right. It's something that you want to be careful with people who have any kind of tendency to bulimia or anorexia, because it can be a really mind altering situation for them, because it's a quick fix. You will lose weight quickly this way.
Yeah. The other thing is that people don't understand is, if they've never fasted, is how much they think they're going to have a foggy head and think that they need food to be able to think, because that's a reason that they've made themselves eat in the past. It's like, oh, I'm not feeling very good, I think I better eat something. Whereas the exact opposite is true in my experience. It's like fasting, I'm so much clearer, I have so much energy, all the things that you're typically told would be the opposite, actually.
Completely agree with you. It's what you think fasting really is conventionally is not at all what it is. It's so much more beautiful than what you're made to believe. Just like many things in life that are good for you. There's a whole slew of people that want you to think that it's the opposite, and it can be more antithetical. It's so essential. Fasting can really save your life. And that's the name of Herbert Shelton's book, Fasting Can Save Your Life.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't know that I've read that one, so I'm looking forward to that. I always like learning about new books, person. Still, can you imagine? We still have books. That's great.
Well, even like you hear like the coal miners out in West Virginia, when they're stuck, I couldn't even imagine, when they're stuck underground for like days and days and days. These men were without their medications. They were without food. They were without all these things. And guess what happens? Their diabetes is gone. Their different illnesses have cleared up. Their skin is, it's really not a shock to me when I hear stories like that. But it's because when you force yourself to stay away from all the things that are processed and full of debris, and you give your body that beautiful chance to recover, it's nearly instantaneous what the body does to correct itself. It's so fascinating, the human body and its ability to heal. It never ceases to amaze me.
I know, even coming back from being very, very sick, you know, and I also have my, you know, great stories of people whose lives have just been completely changed by just switching up what they're eating, getting rid of the processed foods, getting rid of, like you have your top 5 there. I think those are amazing. And just turning around things like diseases that they've had for 25 years, they've been experiencing, you know, terrible symptoms, and it turning around like in a week, and then not even being able to believe it, you know?
Yeah, it is fascinating. One of my patients had a mole on the back of her ear, and she started taking one of my products, and she's had this mole for like, I don't know, 10, 20 years. It fell off after a week of taking one of my products. It's such a cool thing. I mean, it's just amazing what the body will do. If the body doesn't need it, it'll get rid of it. But if things are coming out through your skin, these are clear signs that there is a problem. This is the liver pushing things out through your skin, which is really the biggest organ. The biggest internal organ is your liver. The biggest external is your skin. But yeah, the liver is really the key here. We could come back and talk about that guy again. The liver is the quarterback of the gut.
I want to do a whole show and propping up the liver. I would love to do that. So we are coming down like near the end of our time together, which drives me crazy. I hate this part of the show where I still have a million things to talk about. So, but I want to make sure that the people who have been listening and that are going to be listening to this on the replay and so forth, really walk away with some practical things, not just like theoretical, oh, you should take care of your liver, and oh, fasting is okay, and like these kind of things, but actually taking action today so they can start experiencing more health today, because I don't like postponing experiencing health now. You've given us the top foods to avoid. What are some of the things we can do? Not just things to not do, but what are some of the things, let's say your top 3 tips of things that we can do to actually support our digestion and make ourselves healthier and heal ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I'll say is, like I already mentioned, you got to drink your water. Some people say half your body weight in ounces. That's a good starting point, but really everybody should be near 3 quarts a day or more. Okay, so drink your water, that'll be first. Second, I would say you have to increase your greens. Eat that kale, baby. Kale is such a nutrient dense food. A really great way to really enjoy kale is to peel it off from the stem, add a whole organic lemon, the juice of a whole organic lemon, and add some really high quality extra virgin olive oil and some sea salt. Just massage the bejesus out of that thing. Let it sit for half an hour. Very palatable. You'll love it. Okay. Or you can throw it in your smoothie.
Oh, yeah.
So one is drink more water. 2 is eat more kale, more greens. Green leafy vegetables are the best source of calcium, not dairy. Green leafy vegetables are. That's the most abundant mineral on the planet is calcium. So you can't be really negligent in it, but we do need to eat more. We do need to eat more greens for sure. And then the third thing I would say, you got to take a digestive enzyme. And this is because we're eating foods that are cooked. We're eating foods that are devoid of these really powerful special proteins that do so much work. That's what enzymes are. They're workers. So those would be my top 3.
Okay. So we can find you online at the Digestion Doc, right? How about...
That's my handle.
Now your enzymes, are they available on that site?
My enzymes, you could go to omegadigestion.com, or you could go to thedigestiondoctor.com, and there's a little tab in there about my omega products, and you could click on there too.
Okay.
I'll put it in here if you want.
Yes, please. And people can follow you. You are so much fun to follow on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, you're everywhere. How is it that you do that and have patience and take care of heal the world? How do you do that exactly?
I fit it in. I just manage somehow. I don't know.
Well, it's awesome. Thank you so much for being with us here today and teaching us about digestion, and hopefully, you know, opening up people to talk about these things that nobody really wants to talk about too much of. But by actually talking about it and finding out how, being responsible for our own health. I love that. I
thank you for having me. It was fun.
I'm a big proponent of the no victim zone. That we're not victims.
Be accountable. That's right.
To our health status today. We're not victim to it today. And we're certainly not victim to it tomorrow, because it is within our power to make a change. So thank you for being a change agent, Dr. Christine. And
my pleasure.
Thank you so much that we can all reach out to you and find out more about how to heal ourselves. Thanks everyone for being here on Radio Blab, and make sure to follow me at mastermel.com if you want to meet other masters just like Dr. Christine. Have a good one and take care.
Thanks for listening to Radio Blab with Master Mel. Live each week, Melodee Meyer empowers you to become a black belt in your business and life every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, or anytime 24/7 on RadiostarWorldwide.com.